Okay, friends, welcome to our leader call. I'm so glad that this month's happened because I know sometimes we have to cancel, and for whatever reason, I'm so glad that we don't have to do that today. So I'm recording this for people who didn't get to be on live, but there was 6 of us from Threefold United who were able to go to the Leader Summit this past weekend. And it was in San Antonio. It was the very first one that Color Street's ever done. So there were about 477 people who got to come out of, the 62,000 that are a part of Color Street as active stylists. And I think that alone was super encouraging for us. And honestly, what an honor that we got to be at the first one. So I loved it because I got to know Jenna and Danica and Alethea and Kristen and Jennifer even more, and left feeling like we were given so much tools to be successful in our businesses. And honestly, it was like information overload because there was a lot of information that I really do think will take a while for us to be able to implement everything. But I'm so encouraged because certain things that they told us, like I've seen being implemented already, stuff that I've been doing, Danica doing, like right away we're going back and implementing the things that we have learned. And so I think there are certain things that we took from that meeting or the weekend that we want to share with you, because I think it will not only help like our business in general as a group, but your own business too. And I can't wait for us to have more like individualized trainings. So this is going to be like kind of a brief overview of some of our favorite things that we learned. And we're going to try and go a little bit more in depth in certain trainings in the future, because it's just too much information to try and put in one night. Trust me, we can't. Like, I don't even think I could recap the first night in one call. No. We got a notebook. All of us got a notebook. Now, I sent you guys this notebook in a PDF form. So good. Okay. So good. I sent you guys all of it in a PDF form. I would recommend going through it, even if there are things that you may not understand because there's like notes sections or whatever. It's fine because there really is such detailed information that I think would be good for you to maybe even just print out and put into like a little booklet for yourself. And there's the new style, just a quick note, there's a new stylist checklist in here, and that has been added. I believe they said it had been added to the virtual office, and it will be added to the app as well. And you guys, the whole point of the new stylist checklist is that all of the stylists would be going through the same information across the entire board, which is very exciting to me. I'm not sure at this moment if we will get rid of our new stylist training, but my goal would be that we would use corporate for our new stylist training and everyone is getting the same information across the entire board. So I would say familiarize yourself with that kind of thing, the new stylist checklist that they have, and I think it's going to be really good. Okay. So if we just go to the beginning of this, I told you guys, some of you guys about it, so you might be able to see the information. But the first thing that we did when we got there, we had like a welcome, I don't know, they said it was a dinner, but I would say it was more like appetizers and small appetizers for that. We were still hungry. But we had like a get together and we saw everyone. One thing that I want to say is one of my biggest takeaways from this thing was that, you guys, I have never been a part of a company where the CEO and founder is wanting to not only be present with you, but is wanting to joke with you, get to know you better, give you a hug, take a photo. I've never been a part of, oh good, Kristen's on too. I've never been a part of a company who has done that before. And you guys, we were having like fun nights where we dressed up with pajamas and Mr. Park was like going around taking pictures and putting silly things on his head. It was just like so much joy. And I think that is one thing that really stood out to me, was that this company really cares about us as people. They want to see us succeed. And they also are like, our CEO is literally the best of the best, even if you sometimes can't understand it. I mean, that's the truth. So, okay. So I talked to Jenna and Danica, and I know Kristen can probably chime in too, but the first thing that we had when we went back to the, like the first session, we had some recognition, that's when we found out that Lindsay and I were the top 2 for the Cancun points, which was crazy. And then they made me go on stage. I was like, ah! And then right after that, we did our first thing, which was an enrolling panel. Now, I was part of that enrolling panel, and so I did not take notes on that at all and I kept thinking, oh, that's a good thing. Like, I wish I was taking notes, but I was really just looking at my notes to remember what I was saying next. So Jenna did take notes, and she's going to give us a little bit of a breakdown of what they said for that. And then we'll move on.
Yeah. So does anybody have the PDF like in front of them that Julie had sent out? Like, you do? Okay. Teresa does. I was just wondering, so I could tell you like what I'm looking at. So I'm on page 6 and 7 right now, is what we had open when the panel was up there talking. And it broke it down into different categories. And the first one was an enrolling mindset. And so kind of pan to there was 5 of you, right? 5, and then a 6th one just popped in at the end because she was late. 4 and 6,
yes,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But basically, the gist of the enrolling mindset is to not be afraid, believe that you can, share without fear, don't compare yourself to anybody else, and go for the no. And so I feel like those all kind of are just summarized about like just have no fear about it. So whether that's posting about it, I'm sorry, that's my dog, reaching out to people that maybe are interested, and then not comparing your journey to anybody else's who you maybe see like enrolling people constantly, and you're like, what am I doing? What am I sharing, or what am I not sharing that people aren't liking? Can you tell him to be quiet? Okay, maybe he'll stop. I don't know. He probably saw someone outside. But so that was the mindset. And then the next category was generating interest. And this is the one that they spent the most time on. And it was actually kind of funny. I don't know if Kristen and Dan can remember this, but they spent like a ton of time on this part, like 20 minutes. And then went to the next category, and everyone was kind of like, what? Like, this is going to take us forever. But they didn't spend nearly as long as in the other categories, and they did in generating interest. And so this one is really broad. I feel like there's so many different ways that you can get people interested in becoming a stylist. And I think sometimes, I know I do this, is I get just overwhelmed with all the different things that are a part of being a stylist and all the great things that come along with it. And so if I don't narrow it down to one thing or a couple of different things when I'm doing like a business blessing or talking about it, then it just seems like chaos, and it's like it's not really focused. And so sometimes when I'm getting ready to write a business blessing, I'm like, well, I want to talk about all our trainings and then all the friends that I made and like how flexible the hours are, and talk about my team. And it's like, okay, so like let's just focus on like one of those aspects this time, and then make sure that as I'm posting regularly on my page or in my VIP group, that I'm hitting all the different ways, because what is really important to you, it might not be as important to somebody else that maybe is thinking about joining your team. But then the next time when you talk about like all the incentive trips, like maybe they didn't care about the value of the kit. That's not an issue to them. But maybe when you talked about this incentive trip that they could earn, maybe that's something that they like piqued their interest, and now they want to talk to you more about it. And so just hitting all of the different ways to generate interest of this business, to get people to talk to you and ask you questions, and just letting yourself be open for those questions. The next category was offering the opportunity. And the only thing I wrote was be you. That's the only thing I wrote, and I don't know why, because I know that there's more things that were said, but that's all I wrote. Be you. And so that must have been something that really, and honestly, it was was like a week ago, and I feel like I don't even remember. But that must have been something that really stuck out to me as all of you ladies were talking up on the panel, is that just be yourself when offering the opportunity. You don't need to be weird or salesy. And then if it is right for them, then they will go for it. So the next one was overcoming objections. That's something that is, I don't know about you, but it's hard for me. I take things personally a lot. Part of my personality type that we'll go into later. But just kind of thinking about all the different things that people are going to say no to. So if you're working hard at recruiting this month and you're thinking of all the different ways, kind of come up with some things that you're going to say to people to overcome those different objections. Like I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't know enough people. So I'm sure we've heard all of those things. And so ahead of time, if you just have like a notebook, you can just write down some of the counterpoints to that. Because I know sometimes when I am confronted about something, well, I don't have enough money, then I'm just like, okay, but if I have a plan in place about, oh, I understand, and I maybe wrote down some ways that'll counter that. Like, let's get you going right away so you can recoup the money in your kit and get you paid at the next commission date. Sometimes that's not something I'd think of like immediately, but if I have something like that written down, then maybe that'll help me when I'm talking to my potential stylists. And then the last one is guide to a decision. And that's like just creating a sense of urgency, talking about what's new and how they can get in on it. Because if you haven't noticed yet, there's always something new going on in Color Street. So a new collection is being released, maybe retired sets are coming out, maybe they're doing like a promo with something like Prison Break. And then, the twice a year when we have our big launches, and that the spring launch is coming up. So this is a really great time to start talking to those people who are really interested about how they can get themselves set up so that they have a really successful spring launch and they can jump in right when that spring collection comes out. So that was basically the categories on the panel. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add, Kristen or Danica or Julie.
Yeah, they went through like specific objections, you guys, and I'm going to try and get the recording because I know some people were recording it and they said they would give it to me. So I'm going to try and get the recording for that too. But it was an hour long and we just took turns like with different topics. But the objection that I talked about was I've done this before and like I wasn't successful or something. And I told them a little bit about my story about how I've, this is not my first rodeo with direct sales or network marketing. And so I talked a little bit about a method that I have learned and used called feel, felt, found. So like using that in every objection really helps because first of all, they're telling you an objection because they want to feel heard, that this is a fear that they have, right? So usually like for the instance of I've done this something before and I haven't seen success, I would say, I know exactly how you feel. I felt, then I felt the same way because I have that experience and I can relate to them. I felt the same way when when I first signed up. I was really nervous because I had already done 2 things and I hadn't seen success. What I have found, and that's now saying, the feel, felt, and then the found part is what I have found is that this company is so different. It's one product and whatever else you want to say. But like trying to validate what they're feeling with that feel, felt, found method really does help because, and I try to do that with all the objections because I do feel like I can relate to most people's objections. Like, I don't have the money. Okay, neither did I. Like there's certain things that I feel like I can relate to. And so that's part of what I thought with the objections. But they even had someone speak on my husband doesn't want me to join. So like I do hear that. And I think it's a big one. And so hearing what her response was really good. So I'm going to try and get, Melissa said that she was going to get us the notes because she had everybody's responses written out. And so she's going to try and get me the notes from everyone. So at least we can have that written down, you may not see a video, but at least you would get the answers. So I'll try and get that for you guys. But I don't know if Danica or Kristen has anything else to chime in on that part. Go for it. Otherwise, we will move in. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying, I think Jenna did good. The biggest thing I took on, it's just the enrolling mindset. And I think we're blessed because we have you, and you teach us a lot of the things that people have talked about. But one of the things that you continued to say was just like believing in yourself and writing, like, I'm a recruiting boss. And like, I literally came home and wrote that. And it's just like the personal development that people preach. Like, you have to do that stuff because you will get down on yourself if you continue to hear no's, and you will get down on yourself if people aren't enrolling with you, but you have to continue to believe that you can do this, and just continuing to try different things and be yourself, like Jenna had mentioned. And I think one other thing I took away around offering the opportunity was being you, but in your VIP group. So this is something somebody asked me today. They're like, I think I need to share more of myself in my VIP group. And I'm like, yes, like, you're trying to build a culture, and you really need to create a community around yourself because people can buy from anybody. And so for me, it was like, oh, I need to share more of my life, and so people can see who I am and be able to share my story. So I thought that was very impactful to hear that that is how people are offering the opportunity, is just by kind of sharing themselves and not feeling like they have to copy every post from every other leader, and they can actually share their family or their kids or what their interests are. So those are my big things to add on to what Jenna said.
Yeah, I think it's important for people, and I say this all the time, to know, like, and trust you. And they're never going to know, like, and trust you if you're not posting about yourself. They're never going to know who you really are. So for me, it was hard for me because some of these girls had like specific reasons and specific formulas and specific ways that they do things. And I feel like for me, it's more like, I'm putting out a net and then people are coming to me most of the time. And it takes months sometimes of me cultivating a relationship from a party and then moving them to a VIP group or whatever else. But it's trying to consistently show who I am. You guys, I posted on my personal page yesterday because I'm close to 5,000, right? I need to get rid of some people, right? And I had 3 people message me and asking me about the opportunity from that post. I didn't mention a thing about it, but them seeing my post made them think of me, and then it made them think of this business. So I think, honestly, we may think, oh, I'm posting all the time, but you never know what that one person needs to hear at that moment, and your post is going to help them. So it doesn't even have to be something related or crazy. That's like, and I'm going to start going live. So is Jenna and Lindsay and anyone else who wants to, more in the team page with just little nuggets, you guys. I think a lot of times I think, oh, I have to wait for a team call to share this. But really, those little nuggets are things that if something is really working for you, like what Sarah mentioned the other day, if something is really working for you, share it. So because if it's working for you, it's going to most likely work for someone else. And I want our team to get to know you guys. Okay, so moving on, we had, I would say, maybe too much information on this next topic. It was like information overload brain. Like I needed a nap afterwards. It was too, but I didn't get one. But it was a lot of information. It was all about coaching. Now, this is something that I feel like we all need to start implementing like today with our teams. We all are on this call because we have a team. We are all watching this recording because we have a team. And I'm going to go through some of this stuff, but I'm going to post inside of the leader chat too, an old call that Joan Robinson did. I think that's her last name. It was a senior director and above leader call. And she went over such great information on coaching calls. Okay. What coaching is, what it's not, all of those things. And I implemented that pretty much right away after I heard her stuff. And I started doing one-on-one calls with my team. So if you signed up with me, I sent out an email this morning that talked about filling out a Google form. And that is probably where I would say for everyone to start is create a Google form, and I can send it like what mine looks like to you guys. Oh my gosh, my sister is texting me. Calm down. So I can send that to you guys and show you. But the coaching side of it was so eye-opening for me, especially the beginning part. This business is not about how can I make myself better in rank, how can I rank advance, and how can it be all about me, and how can I do all this stuff. Really, you're never going to grow your business if your mindset is focused only on yourself, right? the only way that you're going to be able to build this business is if your mindset is focused on others and what you can provide for them and what kind of help you can give them. So some of the things that I learned initially with Joan, she was one of the speakers, the very first speaker. One of the things I learned with her is that coaching calls should be led basically with the person speaking and you asking open-ended questions. If you are not, how many of you guys are doing one-on-one calls with your team right now? Yeah, see, right? I even try and I offer them and they were saying, well, I offer them and not very many people. Allison always takes me up on one-on-one calls. I'll say that much. She's good at that. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people, even if I put out an email that says, and does anybody need a one-on-one call? A lot of people don't say it. And so we were brainstorming as a group, like, well, how can we make that something that people want to be a part of? And I was thinking we can do more like maybe like calls with Jenna and Lindsay and me and 5 people on like certain topics, or like your leader and your upline and a couple people, because I know that as our team is growing, our teams are growing too. And it can be kind of overwhelming to feel like you have to do a one-on-one call all day, every day for the rest of time. Right. So like that's kind of where I feel like I'm going with the implementation. Now, I can't go over all of this information, you guys, but if you print out the workbook or you look at the workbook, it's going to have like literally all of the information, like what the benefits are, like strategies on how to open up the calls, and what examples of what to talk about on the calls. Like there's so many good things, okay, inside of this notebook. So if you're like, I mean, does one-on-one calls, with a raise of hand of people who are here, do they stress you out? Like, does the thought of doing a one-on-one call with your downline freak you out? Raise your hand. Yeah, right? I know. Trust me. It freaked me out too, right? At first, I'm like, are you serious? I do my whole business online, basically texting people. Now I have to actually talk to people on, like, in real life on a phone. Like, what? And some people say even do it on a Zoom, which even still freaks me out even more. So, anyway, going back to this, I'm so proud of Danica for one, because I know she went back home and she implemented this like right away. Was it part of her comfort zone? No, but I promise you guys, the more that you get to know the people who are on your team, the more you're going to understand what their goals are. Like, you guys, they said something and I was like, wow, I'm guilty of this. Like they said, how many of you guys know what the goals are of the girls on your team? I mean, I tend to be in the, oh, good. Caitlin says I use Marco Polo. I love that app, and that's a great idea for your team. I love that. Where was my brain going? I kind of tend to think when someone signs up with me, I kind of throw them into the boat of they want to do this business full time. And I don't ask them if they do want to do this business full time. I just assume that's what they want to do, right? So I created a Google form today because I'm like, I just want to know what people's goals are. Like, I want to know, do they want this full time? Like, should I be supporting them more or less? And one thing that they said at this training was it's never too late to ask someone what their goals are. And that really was like affirming to me, like, okay, it's okay if I'm not doing well in this right now. I still have time to be able to do well in this now, and I can go back and make it better. Like, I can go back and ask people now what their goals are, even if, you know, maybe I feel like I've dropped the ball. So I got a little bit personal on that email, and I asked, like, how can I better support you? But anyway, you guys, there's so many questions and things on this. I don't know. Do you girls have anything that like really stood out to you? There's like, seriously, this book talks about literally how to open the call, what to talk about, questions like that you can give, like how, like exactly the wording of what to say. So like, you guys, if you struggle, you have to come back and read this. But Kristen or Jenna or Danica, is Kristen still on? No, I can't see. Do you guys have anything specific that you feel like was like really stood out to you on those?
I think for me, There was one part where they talked around who to coach and like what's kind of the coaching calendar and what that looks like. And I think it's eye-opening because we want everyone to be able to do this business. And there was points in there where it was who not to coach. And I think the big takeaways for me were like stylists who don't show up. And so we all show up because we're all leaders on this team. And there are definitely girls who we want to show up. And so we put a lot of effort into them, and they probably aren't, they shouldn't be getting as much time as we give them to kind of push them through this business. So I thought it was interesting just hearing like who not to coach. Other things are like stylists who want to use coaching as a therapy, who think it's kind of like the wine fest. So really just keeping it business when you do those calls. And I thought that was really interesting. And then the big takeaway for me was finding out your stylist's why and why they're doing this. Because just like Julie said, like, I just assume everybody wants to do this like somewhat full time because I don't do this full time yet. But it was interesting from my call that I did last night. It was somebody that I expected and just was like, yeah, like this person is in this business. They want this full time. They are rocking it. And when we talked, that is like completely not where it was at all. So for me, I was like, this is exactly what they're saying is like, find out what is driving your team. Why? Because my why is so different than everyone else's why. And we can't treat all of our team like their why is the same. And I really think just even taking a minute to take the call to figure out what's truly driving them will help you continue to help push them throughout their business, because utilizing things that somebody wants to just gain money for vacation and to kind of have fun with their family is different than the motivation you'd give somebody who wants to make this full time and wants to earn a large income and whatever that may be. So I thought that was super impactful of just taking these calls and having them do some prep work and some deep diving of themselves before they even get on the call with you, and really just learning that and taking the time. And so eat the frog and do it, because it was totally well worth it. I've only done 3 of them since being back, but it was super impactful. So I would challenge all of you guys to do it.
And we've been back 4 days and you've done 3. So kudos to you. I think that's great. I think it can be intimidating. And for me, I'm like, well, I never have opened up one-on-one calls to our entire downline. I've only done like my personally enrolled. And I'm like, how can I start to give more to everyone? And so I think that's where like those more like pods of girls that have the same kind of goals. That's why I posted that inside of the team page, like what do you feel like you need to work on more? And a lot of the responses that I've received inside the form that I gave was that people want more training. So if they want more training, then we as leaders can come together and provide that for them. And I think it really comes from, oh my gosh, this is working for me. Let me go live and talk about it. And I want you guys to feel empowered to be able to do that, because you are leaders on this team. And I want people to get to know you. If something is working, or if it's not working and you found a solution, or some sort of encouraging word that you want to give to the team, I want you to be able to do that. So please come to me if you have anything like that, because I want our team to consistently be getting ideas. Now, like what Sarah went live and talked about, the email idea. So many people were like, oh my gosh, that's totally working for me. And it's little things like that take, like the little things that make people, their business restart. And I was shocked to see how many people felt like their business was stagnant and they wanted to restart it. So that was a really big topic too. So anyway, go back over all of this. There's like literally a whole area on page 23 that talks about 5 steps for a great coaching call. It talks about preparing for the call, because you guys are going to want them to give you some sort of form before they get on a call with you, because you want to know where that is going. How to start the call, how to coach the call, how to wrap up the call, and then follow up after the call, which I thought was so great. And if this is terrifying you because you're like, I have a full-time job, how am I supposed, I see Amani down there like, what? If this is terrifying you because you have a full-time job and you're like, how am I supposed to do this? You guys, you don't overwhelm yourself. Like maybe just commit to one person that you can reach out to and talk to for that week. And maybe don't even do a form. Just say like, I see this person, she's doing something well, she's struggling a little bit to bonus qualify. Why are we going to reach out on the last day of the month and say, how can I help you BQ? No, we need to be reaching out to them weeks before that and just saying like, I see you over there. I know you're trying. would you like to be on a one-on-one call with me? You know, like just reaching out to the people, especially if they're your personally enrolled. And if I have enrolled them or someone else, you can always just say, hey, I think I see something with this person. I feel like maybe they're struggling a little bit. It would be great if you did a one-on-one. I'll totally do it. Okay, so that is kind of what we went over. Kristen, I don't know if you have anything else about the coaching. She's muted, so.
Hi. Sorry, my husband is on call tonight, and it's quite busy over here, so I recruited my little sister. She's like helping me do dinner and homework, so sorry I'm a little in and out. Anyways, the coaching, I just thought it was really important how you really want to, you know, what I took out of that was, I have a few notes here. Let me look really quick. I'm sorry. I wanted to touch back to before also real quick about how it's so important to stress to your team.
It's okay. We all have kids. Don't worry.
They're painting Valentine's boxes, and my son just came out with red paint all over it.
You're like, what?
Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry. How it's very important not just to add, you know, to you, like, but just how important it is to add to your team, and you just need to really stress that it adds value to them too, not just you. When things, you know, like maybe you're frustrated because your team is not BQing, and because you really want to like rank up or whatever, but it's not just you that really wants to do it, they want to too. And so you really have to make them feel, you know, like reach out and let them talk to you about maybe their ideas and how you can help on their ideas and their goals and what are their struggles, and open it up so that they can talk to you about it. Because sometimes there's things that you can really relate to, and also they can relate to you. Like you always say, people are always watching, even when you have no idea they're watching, and they'll come back to you later and you're like, wow, you know, I always take that from you, that people are always watching even though you don't really know if they are. But and then the coaching, if you talk to somebody on the phone, even if you're not just texting but you're talking to them on the phone, make sure that you're smiling, because even though people can't see you, they can tell. And you know, you can, like right now I'm a little distracted, but people can tell if you're on the phone and you're kind of like, you know, not smiling or not reciprocating what they're saying, or you're kind of just like, you know, not what not to do when you're on the calls and things like that. I remember the Diamond, whatever her name was, but
Did this whole skit, you guys. I was like, okay.
But you know, just that, and just how to be, you know, stay positive, and how to respond rather than react. Yeah. I took that too. Sleep on things, breathe. How can you help someone? You know, it's a lot. They take a lot from you, and they can sense your feeling on things. So if you try and approach things in a different way, it's kind of eye-opening to other people, maybe as well as you too. So
yeah, the respond versus react. At first I was like, gosh, this is going to help me with like my everyday life, not just my life with colors.
Like sleep on it. Like
yes.
I learned a lot about that, and also we'll go into later, like, you know, the personality traits and stuff. I really learned a lot about myself, but I tend to react and quickly, and I don't like to sleep on things. And I'm always like, you know, jump in, like just jump into it. And my husband's good, because he'll be like, no, babe, you know, we got to like sleep on this like 3 days. And I'm like, no. So, but you have to really step back and take a look at the bigger picture sometimes.
Yes. And I think, like, you know, there's going to be conflict within a team our size. There will be some times where people don't see eye to eye, or someone is being negative. And for me, like, I have to learn to not take those things personally. And that's part of my personality, which is what we'll learn later. But I also tend to react. If someone says something, I want to like react to that, to what they said, and like maybe defend myself a little bit. And what I've learned on this was like, that's not helpful for anyone. So like giving it a little time, take a step back. If there is some sort of conflict, like it's never going to be resolved by reaction. So anyway, really good stuff, you guys. I like, if you get nothing out of this call tonight, I really hope that you will implement the coaching stuff. And this is not like, one of the girls was like, this is business. You don't let the conversation veer to personal, which I liked. Like, keep it short, 20 minutes. Like you can't be on a call for an hour or you're going to be losing your mind. Okay. So go back and read this. And I would say like implement it. If you are struggling with that, get with your upline, and maybe we can do like a a 3-way call with someone so you can kind of get a feel for how that goes. I'm totally open for doing that if you guys need a little bit of help or if you're like nervous about that. The next thing in the book is page 24 and 25, which is the new stylist checklist, which I think is really cool. One thing that we all realized on our team is that we don't really implement or even really know what the heck color 10 is. Okay. I was like, everybody is talking about color 10 every single second, and I'm like, what is this? Oh my gosh, you know, like totally freaking out. So really, I can look it up, and it's in our back office, but like people are like color 10 every week, and they're like, ask people's goals. Are they coloring 10, saying they're going to color 10 every day? And I'm like, what the heck? So anyway, color 10 is basically just getting grocery on 10 people.
Right.
Basically,
like
right?
Out and about.
Yes.
When you're at the store.
Yes. So they're saying in a week. If you're going to say you're going to color 10 people a day, you're going to burn out. I don't even leave the house every day. Okay. So that's just not going to happen. So anyway, that is something that's inside this new stylist checklist. And I feel like it would probably be a good call topic for us so that our team doesn't go to conference and they're like, what is color 10? Who's your upline? Julie Cruz? What? Oh yeah. Anyway. They had a little bit of a information, and I honestly don't remember it very much, on new stylist onboarding, but there is a page 26 that has literally everything that you could possibly want to know about on onboarding meaning getting a new stylist set up. And I feel like our system right now is pretty good as far as having them in the new stylist training. I feel like where we may lack is, okay, they've done the training. Now they're transitioning to a VIP group, and it's like, grow your wings, have fun, go fly, you know, and there's not a lot of training after that. And so that's where I've been trying to focus, and I'm going to keep trying to focus on trying to give them ideas for how they can keep growing after that. Then one of my favorite parts, favorite parts of the whole weekend, and one thing that I feel like a lot of people skipped out on because it was right after lunch, and I thought it was really beneficial, but we did like a speed networking time, and Jay's over here. You can come say hi if you want.
Hi, ladies.
Say hey.
Yeah.
And I know, like, even a couple of my friends were like, I don't want to go. Like, do I have to go? And I was like, you know what? We're freaking leaders. We earned this trip. Like, we need, oh my gosh, she sprayed cologne. It's my favorite. It smells so good. Anyway, woo! It smells so good, you guys. Seriously, you guys need to get it. So good. Wow. Anyway, so we went to different tables after lunch, and that was my favorite lunch too. It was Mexican, so can I get an amen? And we went to different topics, and I was telling like a couple of my friends who were like, I'm gonna go skip out. I'm gonna like miss out on it, and I was like, who knows what you're gonna learn? Like, you have to go because you know, your leaders, I hated, one thing that I really didn't like is when I saw like upper level leaders like bowing out of the room on some of these topics. I'm like, no, we're going to be here and we're going to do it. And it ended up being one of my favorite things, and something that I want to try and implement on our team, maybe even like in a team call style, just like mastermind, like round table kind of like, these are the things that are working for me. Because you guys, there are people that are on our team who are doing something really well that works really well, and we don't even know it. We don't even know what it is. And they may not even realize that it's something different that they're doing, right? And so being on those tables, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's like something that I feel like I can do. So anyway, we have speed networking topics inside the book on page 28. And so I think that's something that I'm going to start implementing on a team call. We can start like taking just even, sometimes it gets hard to figure out like what people want to learn about. Taking one of these questions and breaking it down into a team call will be beneficial. So think about these, especially if you're like finding you don't have, like, you don't know what to ask your team in your chat threads or whatever it is, like asking these questions. Okay. So that's on page 28, whenever you feel like you want to. And I don't think I had my notebook during that time, but if you girls did, you go ahead and you can say something, unmute yourself.
I did not write anything down.
I didn't either, but I remember there was some good things, but I can't remember them at the moment, which is why I needed to write them down, but oh well. Okay, we're good on time still. The next thing that we talked about is something I had never heard before. And it's called the platinum rule, you guys, which is treat people how they want to be treated. What? You know, everybody talks about the golden rule, which is, what is it? Treat people how they treat you, or
How you want to be treated.
oh, treat people how you want to be treated. And this was the platinum rule, is treat people how they want to be treated. And I thought that was like eye-opening in itself, because the way that my brain works isn't the same as maybe Lindsay's brain works. It's close to Jenna's though, but but Lindsay's, it's not. And so like learning those kinds of things, it went right into our, like, I think it was the best training, and Melissa did it on personalities. And you guys, I'd never heard this personality style before, this whatever thing that that she taught, and it was from like 2005, but it was so eye-opening. So I know Jenna had some information on it she could share, and then I know probably the other girls have some information because it was fun.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was cool. I mean, it's broken down into 4 styles, which obviously, like, you can't put the world into 4 different styles. You're going to have like tidbits like here and there, and it's like a scale. So if you're in the book, it's page 34, it just has a summary of all the styles. And what I found to be like really helpful is figuring out my style, which wasn't hard for me to figure out, and realizing that all these things that I tend to pick about my personality that I feel like are my weaknesses, or things that I feel like I'm not good at this, so like this is holding me back, it's really just like, that's my general personality, and it doesn't mean that they're weaknesses. It's just like a part of who I am, and like here's how I can like work with others so that way I can be the most successful that I can be. And so there's the 4 different styles. There's the relator, which there's like a plus sign that it has, where it's like at the top it's like the more open that you are, and the bottom is you have more of a guarded like personality. And then on the other side, it's like on the one side you're really indirect, and then you are direct on the other side. So you kind of, it is kind of a scale and like where you kind of fit in. But I would encourage you, like, if you have this, look at this page, and you can kind of like figure out the scale, like where you are. And look at those points that are in there, and kind of star the ones that you feel like fit in with you and your personality.
Yeah, so she said, on, just so you guys could see this, like open would be a number 4 at the top, and then 3, and then 2 and 1 if you're more guarded.
Mm-hmm.
More guarded, more open. So I feel like my personality, I'm pretty good about being open now, but I'm not like fully open, so I put a 3. And then here it was direct or indirect. I don't feel like I'm really direct at all on most of my things, and so I put it here. So mine together was 3B, which means I fell into these. Okay.
Yeah. So like, and as they were describing each of these personalities, I bet there's probably somebody that like pops into your mind that maybe is very strong in one of the categories. Like, if you're reading them at all, I'm like completely a relator, like
100%.
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That is how I am. Don't like conflict. Like, I tend to have a hard time with like self-direction. Like, what is it? Work slowly and cohesively with others. Like, I seek security and the need to belong. Like, that's just like, I like close relationships. That's just how I am. And then, you know, there's the other ones, like the socializer, which was Kristen. And so Kristen related really well.
No, she was, wait.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were Kristen. Yeah.
She was the socializer, where she's spontaneous and likes to be involved in stuff, gets caught up in her dreams, jumps from one activity to another. So it's kind of fun to like see all these different personalities, but like I think each of like the 6 of us that were there from our team represented one category at least, because me and Julie were more like relators. Danica is a thinker, where like she is cautious about her actions and decisions, likes organization and structure. What are some good problem solving skills? Like just things like that. Task oriented. And then there's the director, who is decisive, likes control, dislikes inaction.
And that was Alethea, by the way.
Yes.
We need that.
Alethea.
We need that. I think Lindsay's like that too. Lindsay is definitely, and we need those people.
Yeah. And so it's like, these are things like, the person, like the personality type that's like across from you is what they say. Like you, if you're going to clash with someone, it's probably the person like on the cross of you, which makes sense because like they had said something about like relators really don't like people, or like don't like people that like are aggressive. Like we tend to get like submissive, and that's so true. So
It's
like
true for me.
Right. Like if someone who is a director doesn't feel like they're like attacking you, but someone that's a relator feel that way.
Yeah. And I had people in my head where I was like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get along with this person, because they have that like direct, I have no need for what your opinion is kind of personality. But it was interesting to take this and think, at first I was thinking, well, only for my own personal personality. Like I'm definitely a relator in my personality. And then like, Kelly France was like, well, think about it for your business. Cause she's like, you have to be a director in your business. And I'm like, okay, well, I have some of the traits of the director in my business because I have to be like the leader and all of that kind of thing. But,
and it's a learned thing too.
Yes.
You've learned and I've like acquired that skill and like worked on.
Right.
Like a lot of these I feel like are like kind of, when you're looking at it, look at what was natural, like what's natural for you.
Right. So you guys got to look at this, and it talks about all of the all of the things of each style, the strengths, the weaknesses, what their occupations are, what they tend to do under stress. You guys, it was so good.
I just wanted to add a little bit to that when you're done.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, we're having a meltdown, right? I just wanted to say this is fascinating. If you guys, of course, it's quiet until I turn on mute. But anyways, if you guys can pull this up and look at this, I actually learned so much about me, and it was really weird to read these things because as I'm reading the socializer director side, I'm more on the right side of this T. It's incredible. I felt like these people know me and they don't even know me. It was really interesting to sit next to someone that was completely opposite of me and the traits that are right in front of me, and I'm like, wow, that's me. Wow, this is spot on, you guys. And it's really interesting to be able to apply it to other people because you learn so much about these other people just in these couple pages, you guys. You should really look at it. I learned so much about myself from this.
I think it was probably my favorite part of the whole weekend.
Me too.
Totally. This last couple hours was
like, so good.
Like worth it of itself. Totally.
Yeah.
So if you have access to this, check it out.
Yeah, you guys do. And Melissa Sodi, you guys, I know some of you may not know who she is, but she has like that deep voice. She is on the calls a lot. She shared with us like things that she probably wouldn't have wanted to share that made her feel vulnerable and was hard. And it was just so like refreshing to hear her talk about her weaknesses and things that she's done. And she talked about personality and some stories of what she has done in the past and what she has done currently. And it was just so refreshing. So I feel like I really want to dig into, I was trying to like look up I wrote down the name of the guy who came up with this. But I think it would be so fascinating to do a team call just on this personality test, because you guys, I think for our own personalities, we tend to think everyone is like us, right? People sign up with me because they relate to me. So they're obviously a relator, but that's not true about everyone. And so I think, learning a little bit about like what makes a socializer tick, or what makes someone who's a director like make the decisions they do. And like, if I feel like I'm not getting across to them, maybe I need to be more direct with a director. Maybe I need to not give them like, well, whatever you think, I have to be more direct. So I think, gosh, it was so eye-opening for all of us sitting there. We were like, what? It was the first one where I felt like all six of us were like looking at each other like, which one are you? Like, it was so cool to be able to like think about all those things. But we have all 4 personality types within our teams.
Mhm.
And learn. It's so good to be able to learn, like you guys, it talks about action plans, how to relate to them, what questions to ask, like it's just so awesome. So I would say that was, and that's how we ended it. And then we got the cool spring line sets, and they're so good, you guys. I'm so excited about spring line. But that's kind of how it went. And then we ended up, well, Jenna and Danica and I thought that we were just going to have a chill night inside my room having pizza and watching the Oscars. And then Kelly France texted me and she's like, what are you guys doing? And then she invited like 7 more people over. But it ended up being like, and for all 3 of us being introverts, like I was like, okay, let's go, let's do this, you know. But it ended up being like I feel like one of my favorite nights of the whole thing. And we went around and talked about our personalities, and we asked each other questions, and we got to know new people, which we wouldn't have had the opportunity to get to know before that. So that was actually eye-opening to me too, because I think at conference or retreats like this, you tend to stick with your own people, right? And you don't really get to know very many others. And so that was like one night where I feel like we finally got to like meet. Maybe I knew them, but Danica and Jenna didn't. And so it was cool to be able to let them like see other people. So anyway, as you can tell, hopefully you can tell, because we're all excited about it. It was a really great weekend, worth the investment 100%. And I got to know the girls even more. And I feel like we have, like, you guys, I want you to know that we have something so special within our team, and something that a lot of other teams wish they had. Okay. Even if we feel like maybe sometimes we're dropping the ball or that we're not doing things perfectly, what we are doing well, we're doing really great. And we have something really amazing at our fingertips. And I don't want you to lose sight of that. One of the things that Elizabeth, because I tend to have the mindset in enrolling, like this will change someone's life, and I am being selfish if I do not share it. Okay. I have adopted that mindset in enrolling. But I have not adopted that mindset just with the nail polish and putting it on people's hands, right? Elizabeth, I was so like amazed, because everywhere we would go, if we were sitting at a restaurant, she would be pulling out her samples and trying to get them on people and like talking to people all the time. And she's like, I am being selfish if I don't share this with people, because nail polish makes you feel pretty, and it's making, like, it changes people's lives. And I had adopted that mindset with enrolling, but I had not adopted that mindset with just nail polish and customers. And it really changed my mind. So get out there and talk to people.
Color 10.
Color 10. We're going to start talking about that, people. Go out there and color 10 people at Target. And I know that that's not like, I'm not that socializer personality like Elizabeth is. So that's a lot harder for me. I tend to be like, when someone says, I love your nail polish, thank you. And then, you know, and I'm like, that's great, you know, even if I know I have samples in my bag. So I think we have to, the whole point is we have to get out of our comfort zones and work on things. We all have things that we can work on. So that's all we have for you. It's been an hour, I'm sorry. But I think like the information is so good. Print out the thing I gave you. And we do have some other, they gave us, I think, 6 resources from that weekend and some PowerPoint presentations, but not all of them. So I can share them with you guys, the ones that we have for now. But really this workbook is where like the gold is. The gold is right here. So make sure that you're doing that. And then why don't you, anybody who's watching this or is watching the replay, I want you within a week to follow up with your, oh yeah, we need to take a selfie, hold on. Follow up with your enroller or your upline and let them know what you're implementing. I don't care what it is, you guys, but take at least one thing and implement what you've heard today. Okay, now everyone smile for Allison to take a picture. And then Allison, you better tag us all. You got it? Okay, that's always so awkward. Okay. Anyway, I am so proud to be a part of this team with you guys. You're doing amazing. Don't be surprised if I send you a message and say, hey, because I'm trying to be direct, people. I'm trying to learn. Hey, would you like to go live in our team page tomorrow at 10 a.m.? So just wait, guys. Got it for you. All right, friends, that's all we have. Thanks for hopping on. I hope you guys are feeling inspired and like ready to work so that you can be on this call. I mean, at this retreat next year. Can't wait. Have a great night, friends. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. How do I get out of here? Okay.
Bye.